Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Well known to so many of you here today and throughout the legal community, my colleague, Mary Pat McGinnis, serves as Dean of Career Services at the School of Law. I invite Dean McGinnis to offer the invocation this afternoon to begin our ceremony. Graduates, please remain standing. Please rise for the invocation if you are able. Mary Pat.
I need to pull it down. Sorry. Thank you, Bill. Good afternoon and welcome as we celebrate the 2023 graduating class from the St. Louis University School of Law. These impressive young people have endured quite a bit and grown so much in the 3 years they have been with us. And as a law school community, we have been blessed to witness and help guide them along the way. From starting their law school journey in the midst of the pandemic and the challenges that uniquely brought, to now being able to gather here today in person, from watching the social injustices that plague our city and country and seeing these young people work together as men and women for others for a more just and equitable society. So as we now come together in community, in joyful celebration of them, let us give thanks. O gracious God, we ask your blessing upon these young men and women who we honor today for their achievements, their resiliency, and their ability to adapt to the unique challenges they face. We celebrate their capacity for creativity, for critical thinking, for focused effort. We are grateful that they and their families entrusted our faculty and staff to engage them intellectually, morally, and spiritually. Thank you for their confidence to discover and explore new possibilities and knowledge to discern and advocate for what is right and good and just. Enable them to draw upon the things they learned and to allow them to expand on that wisdom and experience as they respond to the questions and concerns of tomorrow. Support our honored student leaders as they continue to make a difference in the world and lead a life for the greater glory of God. Amen.
Thank you, Mary Pat. Please be seated. Family members and loved ones, friends and guests, welcome to the St. Louis University School of Law 2023 hooding ceremony. I'm William Johnson. It is my privilege and it is my honor to serve this law school community as dean. On behalf of this class of 2023 and the faculty and staff of the School of Law, thank you, all of you, so much for being here today to celebrate our graduates. The School of Law hooding ceremony is always a really terrific and uplifting experience. It's an important opportunity to celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of our graduates. I always enjoy it, and I know that my colleagues do too. But this year truly is especially meaningful. Most of the graduates here this afternoon arrived at SLU Law in August 2020, as the world was wrestling with our new reality of a global pandemic. We quickly did the best we could as a law school community to figure out how to deliver our program of legal education using a so-called hybrid flexible model, which virtually no one enjoyed and I think no one would describe as ideal. As a result of the pandemic, most of these graduates simply did not have a typical orientation experience or a normal first year of law school. Instead, in their first year, they wrestled with the parallel evidence rule and the battle of the forms and this bizarre thing called the rule against perpetuities that I still don't understand very well this day, while masked and distanced in classrooms or often learning through a Zoom camera. They got through their first year, undoubtedly painful at times, but they did it. And we slowly emerged from the most challenging aspects of the pandemic experience. And now here we are today. following a year that has seen a wonderful return to our usual in-person activities and events, ordinary events and activities that have made this year feel extraordinary. This class made it. In fact, they did more than simply make it to this point. This class has thrived. In many ways, this class has crushed it. This class had truly outstanding success in multiple national competitions this year. Very big deal. It brought a lot of pride to the school. Members of this class pursued meaningful international opportunities, not allowing the pandemic to get in the way. Some of us got acquainted in Madrid in 2021. I remember that very, very fondly. Members of this class rolled up their sleeves and engaged in hard work on behalf of the most vulnerable. Members of this class organized the new Middle Eastern and North African Law Students Association, filling a gap in a meaningful and important way. Members of this class pursued justice-driven initiatives, and this law school, in this community, will be better for it. This class adroitly navigated the law school experience, which at the best of times is exceptionally challenging. And they did so while enduring a pandemic and achieving amazing success. And that makes today's ceremony even more meaningful. When I reflect on the past 3 years, I am filled with pride in this class. And I'm also filled with a sense of gratitude. I feel deep gratitude for the impressive nimbleness of a remarkable staff and faculty dedicated to our students and to our mission. I have heard from many of you graduates just how much you appreciated the care, the flexibility, the extra effort that the faculty and staff brought to this law school community over your time as a member of this law school. I too appreciate it. I feel gratitude to the student body for the patience and grace you have shown one another, for your unwavering commitment to justice, for your resilience, and your consistent dedication to achieving excellence. I feel gratitude for the people in your lives who were there for you as you struggled, dealing with more than a law student should have to deal with. No, this pandemic did not slow down this class, it motivated this class, and I am confident that I speak for the entire faculty and staff when I say how very proud we are of this class. Friends, every single graduate here today has done something truly remarkable by reaching this point despite all the crises, all the challenges. Marvel for a moment at the fortitude of this class. I am so glad to have been able to see how this amazing group of graduates has persevered while working so hard, maintaining high standards of excellence, demonstrating integrity, and importantly, exemplifying the Jesuit identity and mission by consistently being women and men of service for and with others. Today is the culmination of hard work, dedication, resilience, and sacrifice. And it is an important milestone event that marks entry into this legal profession we now share as lawyers. I'm proud to be a lawyer. Dear graduates, I hope that you also feel a deep sense of pride today and throughout your careers. The special training, knowledge, and skills that lawyers and judges have make them critical to maintaining the rule of law, seeking justice. I'm an internationalist. I have routinely observed that when authoritarian governments seek greater control or power or seek to trample fundamental human rights or civil liberties in authoritarian states around the world, lawyers and judges are routinely harassed, imprisoned, sometimes even killed. Tragically, we are seeing that continue to unfold in Afghanistan right now. Why is that? And the answer must be that lawyers and judges who are committed to justice are at grave risk precisely because they pose a threat and stand in the way. Lawyers and judges safeguard the rule of law. Thus, our graduates will soon share with their colleagues in the law a unique and remarkable responsibility for the American legal system, democratic principles, the rule of law, and justice. And our graduates are ready for that. Graduates, you're ready in part because of your intellect and your hard work. Never forget that. You're ready in part because of the dedication of an incredible staff, utterly committed to your success. And you're ready in part because of the excellence of our teaching faculty. Our law school has always placed particular emphasis on the importance of excellence in teaching, and we are blessed with some truly outstanding teachers. The graduating class has a long tradition of selecting an outstanding teacher as the faculty member of the year. More recently, graduating classes have also selected an adjunct professor to be recognized as Adjunct Faculty Member of the Year. Our adjunct faculty members are busy lawyers and judges who enhance and enrich our curriculum and keep us connected in important ways with the bench and bar. Before we get to the Faculty Member of the Year, who will deliver brief remarks, I'd like to recognize the teacher this graduating class chose as Adjunct Faculty Member of the Year. The graduating class has selected Professor Hal Goldsmith. Hal, would you please rise? Since 2008, Hal Goldsmith has served as an adjunct professor at the School of Law, teaching both the white-collar crime seminar and the prosecution skills course each year. Hal currently serves as an assistant United States attorney and senior litigation counsel for the Eastern District of Missouri, handling investigations and prosecutions in the areas of white-collar crime and public corruption, while also overseeing the office's training program. He previously served as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Illinois, as well as for the Southern District of Florida. He began his legal career as an assistant circuit attorney in the city of St. Louis. He's also practiced in private practice in the area of white-collar criminal defense with St. Louis law firms. Excellence in teaching also happens to be a household tradition in the Goldsmith home. Hal's wife, SLU Law Professor Marcia Goldsmith, is a member of the full-time faculty who teaches courses in legal analysis, research, and communication. I am very grateful to have both of them as my colleagues. Congratulations, Hal, and thank you for your dedication to our students. We now turn to Dr. Anders Walker. Who somehow was selected as Faculty Member of the Year. Dr. Anders Walker is the Lily Myers Professor of Law, and the graduating class has selected Anders Walker to be Faculty Member of the Year this year. Now, this is not the first time he has enjoyed that distinction. If my count is correct, I think this is 6 times that he's enjoyed that distinction. And so that's a testament to how much he loves to teach, and he is truly a gifted teacher. Professor Walker graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Wesleyan in 1994. He went on to earn his JD as well as a master's degree in history from Duke in 1998. He was a law clerk for a federal judge in Texas after graduating from law school, and then went on to complete a PhD at Yale University in 2003, while holding fellowships at both Yale and NYU. He joined the SLU Law faculty in 2006. He regularly teaches courses in criminal law, American legal history, and constitutional law, as well as a variety of very popular seminars. In addition to being a truly gifted teacher, he is an impressive and productive scholar. He's the author of 2 books, as well as more than 40 articles, essays, reviews, and other publications, and has given dozens of scholarly lectures and presentations. He is also a terrific colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Anders Walker.
Class of 2023, you are the best class I've ever taught. You're the smartest, you're the nicest, and gosh darn it, you're the best looking. And now that I see your parents here in the stands, I see why you're so good looking. Because they're good looking. But that's not the only thing I like about you. You've got grit. You decided to go to law school during a global pandemic. Restaurants were shuttered. Concerts were canceled. Americans were holed up at home stockpiling toilet paper. I thought COVID-19 was no big deal, and then I went to Schnucks, and there was no toilet paper. So I drove to Target, no toilet paper. Then I drove to Home Depot thinking, no one knows that they sell toilet paper. But I was wrong. They were out of toilet paper, too. I had to order toilet paper from a lumber mill in Georgia. It came in a big industrial roll, and let me just say, it wasn't Charmin Ultra Soft. But you didn't flinch. You didn't get scared. And in fact, you, and only you, went to law school during a global pandemic in downtown St. Louis. I don't know what's more terrifying, COVID-19 or downtown. I'm 51 years old. I know I look 35. It's because I like to jog. But my mother still calls me whenever there's a shooting downtown. Son, it's Mom. I heard there's a shooting downtown. Are you okay? Yes, Mother. I'm fine. That was a long way from the law school. That was at Keynote Plaza. That was at least 3 blocks from Scott Hall. She called me again this semester. Son, I heard there was a shooting in the law school. Oh, Mother. That was in the docket. Someone was ordering pancakes, and their handgun slipped out of their waistband, hit the floor, and went off. It's no big deal. Stop being such a hand-wringer. It's actually a big deal. It's terrifying. But you were not afraid. You drove downtown. You walked into the building, sometimes at night, right by that bed in the AT&T garage. Because you've got grit. And as John Wayne said, grit don't come in a box. You can't buy it at Target like toilet paper. You either have it or you don't. And I think your parents are partly to credit for this. Mom, Dad, thank you for raising your kids to be tough. But that's not the only thing I like about this class. You also have a sense of humor. For the past 3 years, I've been testing that. Before every class, I get my book, I get my seating chart, and I make a decision. Let's have some fun. Now, your parents are probably wondering what kind of law school this is. Law is supposed to be serious. Haven't you seen the paper chase? Law is serious. It's riddled with tragedy. No one calls a lawyer when they're having a good day. People call lawyers when they have problems they can't sort out themselves. That's why being a lawyer is important. You're going to help people sort through their problems. But it's a downer. Divorce, custody, bankruptcy, accidents, murder. It's also a little dry. How many of you are ever going to crack a casebook again? How many of you are going to say, children, I'd like to read to you from Chemerinsky, Constitutional Law, Edition 25, Equal Protection. Law's dry and it's a little sad, so I try to bring a little levity to it. I try to find some comedy in the tragedy. Remember the guy in criminal law who killed his grandmother with a can of WD-40? That was a tragedy. It was also kind of funny. Who thought that WD-40 could be used as a murder weapon? It's a blowtorch if you use a lighter. And what about Jack Phillips in Con Law 2, baking those cakes? Every cake was a masterpiece. And Jack Phillips painted little birds on the cake, and little flowers on the cake, and little waterfalls in the cake. And one day a young couple walked in and said, Mr. Phillips, we'd like you to bake a cake for our wedding day. And Jack Phillips said, no, I'm not going to bake you a cake. I don't believe in your same-sex marriage. And the young couple were heartbroken. It's a tragedy. It's also kind of funny. Did they really want one of those hideous cakes? I'd rather eat an old shoe. And they trotted right down to federal court and filed suit. And what about in criminal procedure, where we had a rollicking good time this semester? The law student in Utah, remember him? He decided to learn the law on the interwebs. He didn't want to go to an accredited law school and spend a lot of money. Well, the police pulled him over because he didn't have a license plate. He read somewhere he didn't need one. Then the police asked him some questions, and he didn't answer the questions because he read somewhere online he didn't have to answer any of the questions. Well, then the police went to pull him out of his car, which is what they'll do if you don't answer questions. And then he reached for his gun. And that was the end of his legal career. It was also the end of his life. It's a tragedy. It was also kind of funny. If he'd gone to SLU and taken my criminal procedure class, he'd be alive today. You've got to find some comedy in the tragedy. The ancient Greeks said comedy and tragedy were two different things. Comedy is frivolous, tragedy is serious. But they were wrong. What did Sophocles know anyway? He was just making stuff up. The difference between comedy and tragedy is a choice. You've got to choose to find something good in life. You've got to choose to find something fun. That's my philosophy of teaching. And there are law schools in this country where I don't think I'd be welcome, like Stanford. This semester, Stanford Law School invited a federal judge to come give a talk. Before he even had a chance to open his mouth, students shouted him down, and a dean at the law school paraded him because he'd written some opinions she didn't agree with. You'd think Stanford was training students to appear in federal court. I guess not. Last year, Yale Law School invited Kristen Wagner to speak. Wagner is a high-profile attorney. You'd think Yale law students would want to hear what she had to say. Nope. They beat their fists on their desks, shouted her down, and a Yale law student stood up and said, "I'm going to fight you." I read these stories, and I thank God I'm at SLU. And I thank God you decided to go to SLU in the middle of a pandemic in the murder capital of America. Because over the past 3 years, not one of you has challenged me to a physical fight. Not one of you has shouted me down. In fact, you've been absolutely delightful. And I'll tell you something about comedy. There's no comedy without community. You can't sit in your office all by yourself laughing at your jokes. You're not funny, you're insane. My 10-year-old daughter asked me, she says, "Dad, are you talking to yourself again? Mom says you're losing your mind." No, Nina, I'm not talking to myself, I'm rehearsing for class. The truth of the matter is, I am talking to myself. You're the only thing that's kept me sane over the past 3 years. I feel like at some point I stopped being the teacher, you stopped being the students, we just started having a good time. So don't lose your sense of humor, don't lose your grit, and if you're ever downtown, call me. I'll take you out to lunch at the docket. And if a gun goes off, we won't flinch, we won't run away, we'll finish our pancakes, and we'll enjoy some comedy and community once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Anders. I feel the need for those members of this audience who have supported your students financially to reassure you that they did learn things in his classes. In addition to being entertained, there was substantive law. Our law school has an exceptional student body. Over the years, I've heard consistently from our alumni and from legal employers who hire our students that SLU Law students have a truly outstanding reputation. They have a reputation for hard work and reliability, and that's something I've personally seen over and over. They're known to be strong writers, and that's a real testament to my terrific colleagues who teach the mechanics, the rules, and the art of legal research, analysis, and writing. Our graduates are practical, and they have good judgment. Now, this feedback that I've received over and over has reinforced what the faculty, staff, and I see every day: hard work, dedication, and high standards of excellence. Each year at this time, we recognize the student who has so excelled in his or her academics as to have earned the title Valedictorian. The Valedictorian for the class of 2023 is Brianna Coppersmith. Brianna was born and raised in St. Louis. She attended Washington University as an undergraduate, where she earned her bachelor's degree in English in 2012. After graduating, she worked in admissions at the Brown School of Social Work at WashU, and then entered SLU Law in August of 2020. Brianna served as a staff member of the St. Louis University Law Journal her second year of law school, and as articles editor her third year. A student I personally know to be deeply committed to justice, she has coordinated events and programs on juvenile life without parole sentences, mass incarceration, and jail and prison conditions. She has also assisted with and led a reading group on prison abolition, all in addition to her terrific academic success. In the summer after her first year at SLU Law, Brianna interned with Arch City Defenders right here in St. Louis. After her second year, she interned with both the Rhode Island Public Defender's Office and the MacArthur Justice Center. She was also a faculty fellow for Professor Chad Flanders. For the past 13 years, while attending undergraduate and law school and working in all of her various jobs and internships, she has also worked, and in fact continues to work, at Trader Joe's in Brentwood. My personal favorite, Trader Joe's. For the past, after graduation, Brianna will serve as a law clerk for the Honorable Kurt Odenwald of the Missouri Court of Appeals for the Eastern District of Missouri. Friends, please join me in welcoming class valedictorian, Brianna Coppersmith.
All right. Thank you, Dean Johnson. Good afternoon. My name is Brianna Coppersmith. And just as a prefatory matter, we all now know that law school is basically a 3-year exercise in sometimes being called to the front of the room to do something you have no idea how to do, or called on to speak in front of class on some topic you've just barely begun to grasp. And I stand before you today feeling this is one last version of that exercise. So, fellow graduates, it is so good to be here with you. Our class is acutely aware how lovely, how lucky it is to be together in one room. And today is made even sweeter by the fact that no one is responsible for managing their mute button. It is also so good to be among family and friends. None of us got through this program alone, but it is very difficult to have a loved one in law school. We study through holidays, we miss birthday parties, we miss family gatherings, and sometimes the stress we carry transforms us, however temporarily, into little monsters. Thank you for loving us throughout. Thank you for being a safe space where we have sought refuge. The communities we've maintained outside of school have sturdied us as we built a new community at SLU Law. The past 3 years, we have learned time and again 2 truths that I am having some trouble reconciling. First, as attorneys, we will represent a client. We will form an individual relationship with them. We will make choices about specific legal arguments to best benefit their individual case. That is truth 1. But then there is truth 2. Those highly specific, individualized, fine-tune arguments are the basis for judicial opinions that set precedent, the consequences of which ripple back into communities, affecting the rights of thousands, if not millions of people we will never meet. The choices we make for the one affect the whole. And that is an immense responsibility. So, when we make choices for one, what is our responsibility to the whole? I think we have to at least consider this question, especially in light of the breadth and complexity of topics on which lawyers are regularly called to weigh in. During just the last 2 weeks, just while we were studying for finals, the news ticked on. There is a labor strike at the Writers Guild of America. There will be a new CEO of Twitter. The pandemic-era measures have lifted, and the consequences for migrants at the border are significant. In Missouri alone, the threat of a state takeover of this city's circuit attorney's office and the narrowly retained guarantee to gender-affirming health care for all. Inevitably, as each of these matters unfold, lawyers will be called on at every step to weigh in on every nook and cranny, to develop a strategy to make choices. Of course, some of their decisions will go before judges or juries. But the choices those lawyers make along the way, whether to take on a case or not, whether to raise a certain claim or not, whether to provide their clients with a piece of advice or not, those choices impact not only clients, but all of us. When I think of the credentials and the privileges that will be conferred onto us, I occasionally feel a little bewildered. Over the last 3 years, I have darkened doorways of many faculty members, asking if they just had a minute to remind me, once again, that it is possible to enter this profession and do good work. And for that, I owe a debt of gratitude to Professor Flanders, Professor Roediger, and Professor Bartlett for always saying, yes, they had the time, even when I'm sure they did not. I also owe a debt to the abolition group for reminding me that there are millions of ways to do good work that we have yet to try. I have more questions than answers, but here is what I do know. We have had the incredible privilege of attending SLU Law. How many schools in this country could say that out of its front doors, its students could walk and within a matter of minutes walk into the municipal court, the civil court, Criminal Court, Missouri Court of Appeals, United States District Court, 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, and the city jail? We have been surrounded by faculty that have truly invested in their students and have poured into us as much as is possible, possibly even beyond what is possible in 14-week semesters, who showed patience to our questions and undue patience to our many, many hypotheticals, who offered support as we started organizations, reading groups, policy initiatives. We have been surrounded by administrators who kept their office doors open and a custodial staff who was with us in the building every day with genuine concern about our well-being. Our time at SLU has equipped us with training, access, and exposure to have clear-eyed conversations about the realities of this work. And when we pass the bar, my hope and my belief is that we will consider those realities with the seriousness and the humility they deserve. Class of 2023, it has been a long road. It's about time to cross the stage and graduate. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Now the moment has arrived to recognize our graduates at this special hooding ceremony. The placing of the purple, blue, and white hood on each graduate is the symbolic recognition of completion of the requirements for the Juris Doctor degree, or the Master of Laws in Health Law, or Master of Laws in American Law for Foreign Lawyers degrees. The color purple is for law as a discipline, and the colors blue and white are for St. Louis University. The graduates will be hooded by my colleagues, members of the full-time faculty. Let's begin.
Gabriel Wayo Adamty. Shamsi Alami. Sana Hamadi. Joanna Albuquerque. Anton Saltikoff. Jennifer May Adney. Alec Thomas Albright. Hiba Al Ramahi. Taylor J. Anderson. Mackenzie Beth Arnold. Jordan M. Augustine. Patrick P. Azer. Caroline Elizabeth Barnes. Maxwell F. Beffa. Blaze Bell. Andrew S. Bennett. Mary Sabrina Bentelli. Hannah M. Benah. Taylor Sinclair Bowman. Cole William Bradshaw. Christopher M. Brown. Austin J. Bruner. Jennifer Lorraine Burkhart. Gabrielle Marie Byrne. Trent W. Carriger. Emily Marie Cataldo. Victoria Renee Chain. Adam Victor Childers Arnold. Alexandra E. Cole. Wendy M. Coleman Irvin. Christian Hunter Collette. Mary C. Concannon. Brianna Rose Coppersmith. Andrew Lawrence Costello. Gavin David Coveney. Anne-Marie B. Diker. Lucy D. Darr. Jenna T. DeBerry. Madeline K. Dehart. Caroline A. Devereaux. Olivia R. Dixon. Patrick Driscoll. Catherine M. Dumovich. Amalia P. Duncan. Henry Izu Eruchalo. Colleen Cecile Essid. Tyler Lucas Fairman. Thomas Jonah Fellman. Mary Christine Fletcher. Jada D. Flynn. Morgan Fox Knoll. Allison J. Frisella. Lydia Grace Fox. Ganesh Gangasingh. Haley Elizabeth Gassel. Matthew Lee Gear. Maha Kuram Gori. Caius Martin Gillen. Claudia M. Gonzalez Chavez. Jill Gosain. McKenna Gasrow. Jonathan Clayton Gatchok. Donald R. Hageman III. Carolyn Suzanne Hagloff. In memoriam, we recognize Nathaniel G. Heichel. Monica Halicki. Gemlyn Alexis Harvey. Robert J. Hawkins. Austin Lene Hicks. Catherine E. Hoffaker. Taylor Suzanne Hoffman. Sarah E. Horstmanshoff. Leah M. Hovelm. Claire Lillian Hughes. Garrett M. Hurst. Sarah Elizabeth Jackson. Jalen C. Johnson. Madison S. Johnson. Elena Nicole Johnston. Khadidra Jackways Maria Jones. Liesel Lorraine Julesrud. Patrick Timothy Kerrigan. Lauren Elizabeth Kinder. Brendan John Kleppel. Alan E. Kaur. John Paul Korb. Catherine M. Kramer. Nicholas Bradford Crone. Natalie Polk Beckwith Kurtz. Michaela Jade Lewison. Hannah Marie Lindley. Lisa Nicole Lagterman. Kiara Fernanda Lopez. Connor Boyd Lavera. Avery Richard Davis. William Bradford Martis. Rebecca Lynn Marcel. Larry C. Mayberry. Manuel Mayoral. Angela Reeves McCall. Kane Ryan McClellan. Tiandre C. Meehan. Gariel Mendez Flores. Danielle P. Mertens. Sarah E. Messix. Kelsey Claire Meyercord. McKay Javier Miner. Jacob Christopher Mormon. Holly Arlene Morrison. Kaylee Marie Moss. Maximilian Joachim Mueller. Varsha Minampoli. Abhijith Nair. Ellie M. Nauman. Giovanni Nava Moso. Colton M. Newland. Zachary Robert Nunn. Megan Kathleen Neidiger. Alexander Jacob Oakes. Kayla Ray Onder. Maria Jose Ortiz. Caden Wyatt Stone Owens. Melissa R. Parody. De'Ara Monet Payne. Heaven Lee Persad. Grace Margaret Peterson. Fiona E. Phillips. Jessica A. Pyant. Casey E. Plack. Emily Grace Polizzi. Andrew G. Putman. Dan Chow. Sarah Nicole Rakowicki. Samuel K. Rebman. Dakota Claire Raycamp. Stephanie Anna Richards. Alexandra Marie Robbins. Alexis Ann Robinson. Justin R. Roloff. Brady Lee Root. Claire M. Sanford. Thomas Joseph Sarna. Alexandria Eve Schaefer. Mary E. Schallert. Caitlin Elise Schrader. John Gilmore Schwartz. Jared Schwartz. Nicole Olivia Scott. Reese Thomas Simpson. John J. Sinclair. Michael Joseph Sinnott, Jr. Anna Marie Soto. Andrew Richard Steiner. Lauren Elise Stewart. Malik Stewart. Meredith Wright Stoner. Tammy M. Strozier. Joshua Mark Stewart. Emma R. Stubner. Yashaswi Krishna Suresh. Timothy M. Sutton. Danielle Renee Tarazi. Haley Elizabeth Taylor. Matthew W. Teague. Sarah J. Thompson. Mia Alexandra Torres Morales. Lisa Michelle Verity. Amy Connick Volk. Caroline Elizabeth Vortreed. Jared Waldhoff. Mackenzie L. White. Raymond James Whitehill II. Ashley Michelle Wicks. John Masters Williams III. Kaylee D. Williams. Danielle M. Winkle. Yasmin Liwa Yunus. Mariah Nicole Zollinger. And congratulations to all of our 2023 SLU Law graduates.
Graduates, I invite you to stand. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, I present to you the members of the 2023 graduating class of St. Louis University School of Law. I assure you these graduates have richly earned that applause. You may all be seated. Thank you. That was awesome. I enjoyed that. It is now my privilege and my pleasure to introduce to you our graduation speaker, the Honorable Shirley Padmore Mensah, Chief Magistrate Judge of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri. Judge Mensah was appointed to the federal bench in September 2012 and sworn in as Chief Magistrate Judge in January of 2021. Judge Mensah is committed to the even-handed administration of justice in criminal and civil cases and is actively engaged in court governance and civic outreach, serving on several court committees and in other capacities. Judge Mensah presides over criminal misdemeanor and petty offense cases through sentencing, suppression hearings and other pretrial proceedings in felony criminal cases, habeas cases, and all manner of civil actions through the entry of a final judgment, always with consent of the parties. Together with a district judge, she presides over the court's only diversion court, Sentencing Alternatives Improving Lives, an important and meaningful program that offers offenders an opportunity to change the trajectory of their lives and to have federal felony charges dismissed. Nationally, Judge Mensah has served as Magistrate Judge Representative to the Judicial Conference Committee for Defender Services since 2016. She was elected by fellow magistrate judges in the Eighth Circuit to serve as Magistrate Judge Representative to the Eighth Circuit Judicial Council from 2017 through 2019. And locally, Judge Mensah is actively engaged in court governance and community outreach as well. Judge Mensah earned her Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Pennsylvania in 1991 and her Juris Doctor degree from Washington University School of Law in 1995. While in law school, Judge Mensah served as executive notes editor of the Journal of Urban and Contemporary Law and as an executive board member for the Wiley-Rutledge Moot Court competition. She's a naturalized citizen with roots in the United States. She regularly presides over naturalization ceremonies, which is where she and I first met, and she regularly speaks about the importance of U.S. citizenship. I know you face many demands on your time, Judge. We are honored to have you as our distinguished speaker. Thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Judge Shirley Padmore Mensah.
Well, thank you so much for that kind and warm welcome. Let me take this thing off. Whew, that's much better. Well, good afternoon. To borrow from a good friend and mentor, I don't want to bury the lead, so let me start by saying congratulations, St. Louis University class of 2023. You all are at the finish line, and from everything I've heard this afternoon, you've done it with flying colors, so kudos to you. I swear I didn't compare notes with any of the prior speakers, but I can't tell you how many times I heard something that I thought, well, that's in my remarks. Starting with this. Law school is hard enough, I agree, under the best of circumstances. But with this class having started in August of 2020, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when I heard that, I tried really hard, but could not imagine just how difficult that must have been for all of you starting law school while navigating all of the restrictions of this pandemic. And some of us are still living with it now. But you know, you made it through to the other side, and you should all feel very good about that. I agree with the professor earlier. Sounds like you've got the grit. Henry Kissinger, I think, is credited with saying, "A diamond is just a lump of coal that did well under pressure." And I agree with that sentiment. As a judge who hires lawyers to help manage my caseload, I have come to appreciate the ways in which challenging experiences, like the ones you've gone through, can help transform good, competent lawyers into great lawyers by making them more nimble, more adaptable, and more empathetic in their approach to the practice of law. My hope for each member of this graduating class is that you will be able to look back on your law school experience with the satisfaction of knowing that all the challenges you faced made you even more brilliant and better prepared for the future challenges that you will all inevitably face. I would like to thank Dean Bill Johnson for inviting me to speak today. This is my first commencement ceremony. I was so flattered and honored to be invited to share this incredibly special day with each of you and your families and all who came to support you on this very happy occasion. So I was asked to share words of wisdom with the graduating class. I was warned that I'd be the last speaker and the last thing standing between you and your well-deserved celebration, so I'll try to keep my remarks brief. And consolidated my remarks to two truths, you might have heard that earlier today, that I want you all, I hope that you'll take away. The first truth is this: humility is the hallmark of a good lawyer. So I think it's important for each graduate to recognize, as has been said earlier today, you did not get here to this milestone on your own. I encourage each of you to take the time to think about every person who helped you get here. Maybe it was a spouse, a parent, sibling, an adversary, a friend, professor, all of the above. Someone encouraged you or helped to lead you to this point. Think about who those people are, and if you haven't done so already, thank them. The second truth I would like you to take away is that you are joining a noble profession. The hood each of you received today symbolizes your entry into the practice of law. And that means from today forward, you're joining those of us who were previously hooded as lawyers. William Jennings Bryant, the American lawyer, orator, and politician, is credited with saying, and I quote, "Next to the ministry, I know of no more noble profession than the law." He said this a really long time ago. The quote continues, "The object aimed at is justice, equal and exact. And if it does not reach that end at once, it is because the stream is diverted by selfishness or checked by ignorance. Its principles ennoble and its practice elevates." Now, I recognize that lawyers have not always enjoyed a sterling reputation in the court of public opinion, but to the naysayers, I point to William Jennings Bryant. And without intending any slight to the ministry, I say when it is done right and focused on justice, equal and exact, there is no more noble profession than the practice of law. As lawyers, it will be incumbent upon each of you to help safeguard the rule of law, which to me is the bedrock on which this country was built. As a federal magistrate judge, I have the privilege of seeing firsthand the power and impact of the rule of law on the lives of ordinary Americans. But my appreciation for the rule of law predates my time as a judge. It predates my time as a lawyer. It stems from my experience of what life can look like when there are no rules, only unchecked power backed by brute force. I got a glimpse of what that kind of life can look like when I was 10 years old. I grew up in the West African nation of Liberia. You heard the dean say that I'm a naturalized citizen. I grew up on a quiet street in a middle-class suburb in the capital city of Monrovia. I had a happy childhood, going to school, spending most weekends visiting with a close circle of family and friends. But all of that changed one morning in 1980. I was expecting to be a flower girl in a wedding that day. But before the sun rose, I heard the telephone ringing and heard my parents' voices. They were low and hushed and anxious. And that told me that something was very wrong. I later learned that a military coup was underway. And before the day was over, there were crowds of people running down our once quiet street, chanting, "We won, we won." At night, many homes were looted, luckily not ours. And within days, armed soldiers entered our home and led my father away. Many in the governing class were arrested and some were murdered. My grandfather, who was a lawmaker, died in custody without a trial. Thankfully, my father was eventually released and we left Liberia to start a new life here in the United States. So my experience of the coup influenced my thinking about the rule of law. I realized at a pretty young age that people who feel left behind by government and society may feel powerless to do anything other than use violence to effect change. As I studied law, I realized that although America's system of justice is imperfect, it is unparalleled because it's based, at least in theory and sometimes in practice, on the impartial application of the law. Freedom suits filed here in St. Louis before the Civil War are a good example of what I mean. Those lawsuits, now memorialized on the lawn of the Civil Courts building not far from here, recognize the legal rights of enslaved people to sue for freedom under certain scenarios. More than 100 enslaved people used the rule of law to win their freedom. Think about that for a moment. Enslaved people who were considered property, like tables and chairs, were entitled to go to court, go before a jury not made up of their peers, and with the help of lawyers right here in St. Louis, used laws enacted in the state of Missouri to sue for their freedom from slavery. Although the successful cases were limited in number, the fact that any were successful at all, to me, highlights the importance of the rule of law and why it's so important that it's safeguarded. So some of you might be thinking, pursuing justice is all good and well if you're a judge or a litigator, but what if I'm going into transactional work or politics? I say, regardless of where your law degree takes you in the future, I encourage you to remember that the end of the law is to promote justice. And as lawyers, it is our responsibility to model that in the way we practice our craft. I encourage you to reject the idea that you can't help a client negotiate a profitable deal while at the same time counseling your client to aim for equal and exact justice for all the participants in the deal and all impacted by the deal. And I encourage you to reject the idea that you can't advocate in favor of a particular policy in the public or political arena while also pursuing equal and exact justice for all. And yes, I encourage you to reject the idea that you can't be a zealous advocate and at the same time pursue equal and exact justice for all involved in a legal dispute. To quote William Jennings Bryan, do not allow justice to be diverted by selfishness or checked by ignorance. No matter where your law degree takes you, if you adhere to the principles of justice and fairness that animate the legal profession, your profession, our profession, you will be ennobled and elevated in your practice as lawyers. And from all I heard today from this podium, it seems to me that this class is well on its way to living into those truths. So congratulations again, and I wish each graduate a rewarding career in the law. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Judge. That was terrific. I really appreciate your time and your insights. Graduates, even when we're not in a pandemic, law school is difficult, as we've heard from a couple of speakers today. It is exhausting. It can be discouraging. It also has its moments. It can be exciting, even exhilarating. and it should be motivating and uplifting, at least at times, but it's never easy. And of course, it's supposed to be difficult. The practice of law is difficult. There's a great deal at stake. Your clients are counting on you, so we make it challenging, and you have navigated it with great success. But we have heard from our distinguished hooding speaker and from our valedictorian that it isn't just you who navigates the pressures of law school. With us today are your family and friends, spouses, partners, parents and grandparents, children, and other family members and dear friends. All who are here with us today have supported you, sometimes financially, sometimes emotionally, by keeping you grounded, by keeping you motivated, by giving you a sense of purpose, and in numerous other ways. I know you appreciate all the support and encouragement you've been given to help you reach this point, because I have heard many of you say so. Graduates, I invite you to turn to your family, friends, and loved ones in the audience and show them how much you appreciate their support with a big round of applause. Thank you. Dean McInnes, would you be so kind as to offer the benediction? Please rise if you are able for the benediction.
Thank you, Dean. O gracious and loving God, we ask now for your almighty hand to be upon our graduates as they and their families celebrate this grand milestone. May they find comfort from our community's continued embrace and support as they journey through life. May they find strength in the excellence of their academic preparation and the long line of the Jesuit educational tradition, for with it today, they join a nearly 500-year-old network of local, national, and global alumni. Bless their lives from this day on with goodness and success. Enable them to stay true to their dreams for your greater glory, to discern what is right, good, and just, and to use their gifts wisely and in service to others. Empower them to walk into the future with faith, hope, and great love guided by your light so that they may use their talents to, in the words of St. Ignatius Loyola, go forth and set the world on fire. Grace be to them, grace be to us all. Amen.
Thank you, Mary Pat. Please be seated. Our hooding ceremony now draws to a close, to be followed by university commencement Saturday morning, right here in Chaifetz Arena. I hope many of you are able to be back here on Saturday. We will have a formal recessional of the graduates. I ask members of the audience to remain at your places until the graduates' recessional is complete. Graduates, we wish you the very best in your personal lives and in your professional pursuits. We're going to miss you. We hope that you will visit us and remain a part of the community, returning often. We are so very proud of you and all that you have accomplished. We cannot wait to see what you accomplish tomorrow. One final thing, and I hope, dear graduates, that you will humor me on this. I invite you to close your eyes for a moment, if you're game. Take a deep breath. Let a smile form on your lips and consider this. You just graduated from law school, and that is a very big deal. Congratulations.